so don't you blink. Devour me, devour me, take it slow. Don't use teeth, use it flat. Devour me. You go all the way to the comb.
Welcome back to 40 TV. I'm your host, 40. That was a preview of my music video, 2 Scoops, for a track called 2 Scoops, coming out next month on September 28th. Excuse the plug, but I thought, you know what better way to show you some of my plugins than to show you how I use them in one of my workflows, right? I've got the 2 Scoops music video loaded inside of Final Cut. Right now, I have the audio Effector title track selected in the timeline. You'll notice that it's outlined, but also in the inspector, you can see its settings. Disregard the presets because I had set beat bounce, but then I changed the settings, so this is not the beat bounce settings, right? You'll notice that I have the track loaded. I have the React set to loudness. Loudness means the loudness of the waveform, so when it's quiet, it's not going to do anything. If we set this to beat, it would look entirely different. In fact, what I like to do is change the intensity, which is currently at 25. I want to set it to 100 to talk about how I got to these settings, right? Because if I bump the scalar strength up, if I bump the RGB split up, and I bump the bloom up to hundreds and press backslash on my keyboard, let's look what happens.
You want the whole thing, not a part.
And while that's cool, that's just way too much. Now we could dial it down with intensity here, and let's see what it looks like.
Lick me, lick me, lick me, lick me.
The problem is the scalar strength is just way too much. Even at an intensity of 25, if scalar is set to 100, it looks like it's banging, like I should be, or the character should be dancing. It's just too much. So dropping this number, I ended up coming up with 8. The RGB split to 10, and the blue strength set to 8. Now, you could have different numbers. You could increase the intensity. Maybe you want a little extra movement. Bump this up to 45, 50, etc. But I like the light amount of movement that this is provided because let's watch this. Let me go ahead and put the playhead right here. I'm going to bring it to the beginning right here. I'm going to select the audio Effector track, press V on my keyboard to disable it, and I'm going to play these 3 clips without audio Effector. Look at the difference. Watch the main character and also watch the logo right here and see if you notice a difference in how you feel.
You want the whole thing, not a part. Lick me, lick me, lick me, lick me.
There's no movement. The only way you're moving is if you're enjoying the song. But if we go ahead and press V on our keyboard to enable this clip, let's come back here and press spacebar.
You want the whole thing, not a part. Lick me, lick me, lick me, lick me.
It just feels like there's a little movement. It encourages you to bob your head. Anyways, let's move on. If we come over here to this marker right here, these 2 tracks, on the top track, I have Acid Trip added to that track. I'm going to press V on my keyboard to disable it to show you that the track below it has no effect applied. Let's go ahead and press backspace on my keyboard so I can show you what that clip looks like.
Devour me, you've got.
Again, this looks cool, and in fact, with audio Effector applied as the title above it, it does have some movement, but in order for it to match this clip that's before it and this clip that's after it, I felt like it needed something. So what I did is I made a duplication of the clip and I applied Acid Trip. Now, audio Effector Acid Trip, well, hold on, let's go back 12 or 13 years ago. I created Acid Trip, which was a Photoshop trick applied to video. It was a gradient map that was applied across the gamut of the colors and then cycled at a specific rate. That's still possible in this plugin, by the way, but you have way more control. For example, if I wanted to look like the original Acid Trip, all I do is come over to the gradient, change it to be rainbow, then I change the color mode from energy scrub to cycle. I scroll down here and change the blend mode to normal, and now if I press backspace on my keyboard,
Devour me, you've got.
if I want to speed up the rate in which it's cycling, I can do that in 2 different ways. Number 1, this song BPM right now is set to half. If I bump it up to 1,
Devour me.
now I can change this from beats. I can put this at quarter beat. It's going to cycle really fast.
Devour me.
I hope I didn't give anyone a seizure, and I do need to put a warning at the beginning of the video just because of that probably. Anyways, let's go back to what we had, which I think I had to set to 2 beats. I had to set to energy scrub. The blend mode, I'm going to leave it at normal right now for a second. I'm going to change the song BPM to half. Remember that song BPM only works if you're using the React 2 of beat. Obviously, I have the song loaded. And let's change it from rainbow, because now one of the cool things about Acid Trip is you have full control over the colors. It doesn't have to be the rainbow gradient. It could be any of these custom gradients, or you could just come in here, double click, and you could add another color and set this color to whatever you want it to be, and it's going to change the gradient. We can pull some of these colors out, for example, and look how it's changing how this all looks. If we click on custom, we have a neon preset, and the neon preset works perfectly because that's the color scheme of this music video. The thing is, when you look at it right now, wait a second, this looks a bit washed out. Where is the detail in the image? We have a few ways we can get it back. Let me press backspace on my keyboard so I can show you what this looks like before we start making some changes.
Devour me, you've got to.
And that looks cool. That might be the look that you're going for, but we have a few options. Number one, we have a checkbox right here called Preserve Luminance. And when we check Preserve Luminance, it applies the gradient map while still trying to respect the overall brightness of the image. This is not the look that I was going for, but it does look cool. I'll uncheck this. Another option is by controlling the color mix. The color mix is just the gradients application. This plugin does a whole lot more than applying a gradient. In fact, if you turn the color mix down to 0, you could still use this plugin and other features of it by turning the checkboxes on or changing the settings without having any gradient applied by turning the color mix down. Now, if you turn this down to varying degrees, it's going to look different at varying degrees. Now, what I decided to do was duplicate the clip, make sure the clip below it has no effects applied to it, select this clip, scroll down, and change the blend mode from normal to soft light. But here's the thing, right? At soft light, it looks like this. If we change it to hard light, it looks like this. If we change it to screen, it looks like this. You could get almost infinite looks here, right? So depending on what you're trying to go for. I'll set it back to soft light. I don't know what that blanking of the screen was. I'm sure it has something to do with the screen recording, so it has nothing to do with the project, right? Because we weren't even playing. Anyways, let me press backspace on my keyboard.
Devour me, you've got to.
And you see the blooming that's happening in the smoke. That's happening from the audio effector. That's this gradient being cycled, and you see it blooming in the smoke. I think it really looks cool. It adds that je ne sais quoi to this clip, and it makes it blend better with the clip before it. I'll press from here. I'll press spacebar from here.
Taste me, it's melting faster than you think. Devour me.
The reason is because this previous clip, there is a camera move, and when that camera move happens and it comes next to a static clip, you need to do something to give it some life so it doesn't feel like such a harsh cut, right? I'm going to move the playhead to the next clip. I'll select it, and we'll see that Audio Effector Acid Trip is applied here as well. The preset I use is called Smashed. If we scroll down, I want to bring your attention to Color Mix. Color Mix is set to 0.5. And if we bump this up to 1, we're really going to see the random tiles. What you see here, they're just not as prevalent. If I bump it up to 1.0, now they're very prevalent. In fact, we don't see the details. You could click on Preserve Luminance right here, but let me show you real quick. Preserve Luminance looks like this, and if we come here and we press 0.5, and then we uncheck this, this looks better. You see more details in the ice cream right here. I think sometimes Preserve Luminance looks better, sometimes dropping the color mix looks better, so that's entirely up to you. We're going to bump it up to 1 for now so I can show you the map by feature. Now mind you, this is not to go over everything in Audio Effector Acid Trip right now. I'm just showing you a few things. You could set this to triangles, you could set it to rings, you could set it to fractal noise. And if you want to see more details of the image below, of course, set Preserve Luminance or drop the color mix. And as you drop the color mix, this is just adding a little something something. Now, of course, you could set this to 1.0, drag a duplication of this clip, select the clip below it, get rid of Audio Effector, select the clip on top that has Audio Effector Acid Trip applied, scroll down, change the blend mode here. If we want this to look and interact with the clip below it in a different way, we can do that by changing the blend mode between the two clips. Now, what's going to look the best right here? Entirely up to you, but you have a lot of options. And by using blend modes and making duplications of clips, this is going to work out really nice, right? So let's go ahead and set this back to normal. In this particular situation, I didn't use an extra clip. I also did not, let's go ahead and select the clip again. I also did not use fractal noise. I used random tiles. And I set the color mix set to 0.5. All right, let me show you 2 more examples of Audio Effector's Acid Trip, then I'll show you 1 example of Audio Effector's Mimic, and then we'll call it a day. I'll press spacebar on my keyboard.
Devour me. Devour me.
So that's super cool. And one thing I want to point out is this first clip right here, I'm going to disable it by pressing V on my keyboard. I'll bring the playhead over here. And when I select the clip underneath it, you're going to see that there's no effects applied. If I press spacebar on my keyboard,
Devour me.
you'll notice this clip is cool, but it doesn't really fit the sequence. The first thing I should point out, if I bring my playhead over here, is that in some clips she looks more real than others. This is for two reasons. Number one, this is AI generated, but number two, it's purposeful because the idea is she's going in and out of a dream state when she's flirting with this guy, but she's also in her own dream state thinking about things that she wants to happen and that kind of stuff. And when she goes into the dream state, she gets a bit cartoony, and when she comes out of it, she's more human. And so some of it was driven purposefully, but to make the clips work better together, what I did on this particular clip is I duplicated the clip. On the clip above it, I added Audio Effector Acid Trip. And if we scroll down here, the blend mode is set to overlay. If we set this to normal, you'll see that Audio Effector looked like this by the default, right? And I could have come over here to preserve luminance, and while it's on normal, set preserve luminance, and it would have looked like this. I could have also come over here and dropped the color mix down. But what I ended up liking the best was setting this to overlay. And I'm sorry for it blinking, but I think the blinking has something to do with the screen recording. Again, if we change this from overlay to hard light, it's going to change the look, right? Every single time you pick one of these other blend modes, it's going to change the look. So play with it, find one that you like. The other important note, if we scroll up here, is the animation is set to smear. Each of these animations do something different, like pump and surge are going to have some zoom pulse in them. Smear is going to take a copy of the image, move it, reduce the opacity, and then bring it back and snap it and rotate it. Twitch and stutter are going to have jerky movements with rotations. So each of them do something different, and we can try it, right? So if we set stutter.
Devour me.
So that's what stutter looks like. They all look different. Twitch looks like this. I'll press backspace.
Devour me.
So for example, you can see right here, setting this Twitch animation, if you're using a video like a film, a short film or something, and there was a ghost in it, you could set this Twitch animation for them to glitch out, lower the opacity, especially if they were on an alpha channel. Imagine the power. All right, let's move on. I'm going to move the playhead to the next clip, and the next clip is actually similar. I don't know if you noticed, but many of the settings are the same. The main difference is the clip below it has Audio Effector Acid Trip applied as well. Now, mind you, the clip below it does not have a blend mode selected. The clip mode above it does have the overlay blend mode selected. If I turn off the clip below it, even though the clip above it is set to overlay, overlay is going to act like normal when there's no clip below it, right? So just keep that in mind. So even though it's set to overlay, it's acting like normal. If I bring the playhead to the beginning of the clip and press spacebar, this is without the second clip below it. So that's really cool. Now, a couple things. Number one, you see that smear is happening. Smear is giving us also this part that doesn't have any color right here. Because if we set this to off and the color mode is set to cycle, this is what it looks like. So by changing this animation mode from off to smear, we're making that duplication of the footage, which doesn't have the color application as it's being dragged back. I'll press backspace. And then if we turn on the clip below it, by pressing V, I'll press backspace. It gets even more tense by having the clip below it pump the same colors as well. All right, let's move on. I'm going to move the playhead over here to this clip that has Audio Effector Mimic applied. You may realize that this is a compound clip. If we double click on it, you'll notice that the top clip has Acid Trip applied, and below it, it doesn't, and it's set to overlay. The same as we did in other clips that I've already shown you. I'm going to go ahead and press it back right here, select the clip, and notice that Audio Effector Mimic is applied. I'll select it, I'll press delete on my keyboard. I'll come to my effects browser, I'll grab Audio Effector Mimic, and we'll drop it on top of the clip. I'm doing that for two reasons. Number one, so I can go through some of the presets, but also number two, so I can show you how I got to what I got to. So first things first, by default, mirror spin is selected. I'll press backspace on my keyboard so you can see what it does.
Go all the way around the top.
There's also a quad kick, and quad kick is going to make 4 copies of the clip. Number one, when I selected it and kept mirror spin on, they're both being used. Let's press backspace.
Go all the way around the top.
If I turn off mirror spin, it will look different. Watch this. I'll turn it off.
And when go all the way around the top.
You saw that adding mirror spin, adding another level of complexity. Let's go ahead and uncheck that. We'll turn on Kaleido Breath. I'll press backspace.
Go all the way around.
I'll uncheck that. I'll turn on Dross Zoom.
Go all the way around.
And the one thing that I want to point out, something that Mimic does, is that it has patterns. All of these patterns are going to affect these animations different, right? You will get bored with this animation quickly if it was in your toolset. How many times can you use it? But if you come over here to the patterns and you switch the pattern, let's say to Frenzy and press backspace.
Go all the way around the top.
And this kind of looks like it's to the beat, but it might not be. Let's go ahead and select Choose Song. After we do so, we'll load the song. We'll press Enter. Now for sure it's happening to the beat. I'll go ahead and press backspace.
Go all the way around the top.
Now, one of the things you'll notice, it's set to beat. We could have this a lot faster.
Go all the way.
We could also have this a lot slower, setting to a bar, for example.
Go all the way around the top.
So depending on what your length is set to is going to change the animation. Depending on what the pattern is set to is going to change the animation. And all of this is stackable. So you could have Dross Zoom, you could have Kaleido Spin, Breath. It's going to get crazy. I'll press backspace on my keyboard.
Go all the way around the top.
And again, this is all dependent on the pattern, the length, what it's reacting to, you name it. Now, when I use this plugin, I use it as Classic Mimic. If we scroll down here, I don't even have to uncheck this stuff. If I click on Classic Mimic right here, it takes us to another version of the plugin. 12 or 13 years ago, I wrote Mimic, and Mimic was a mirroring, it was a quad, it did a little bit of kaleidoscoping, but it was nowhere near what it is today. In fact, it didn't have the warp mode here, it didn't have animate spin. That stuff came in this version of Mimic, and of course the audio reactivity as well. But when you turn on Classic Mimic, you're basically going to set it to a mirror, you're going to set it to a quad, or you're going to set it to a kaleidoscope, where you set the amount of segments down here, and that's how you're going to control the classic version of Mimic. Now, what I did is I set it to mirror, I came up to the position, I set that to 0.22, and I set the mirror angle to be 90. This is very simplistic. You don't need Audio Effector Mimic to do this. But I grabbed it because I use it all the time and it's very quick to use in my mind and so forth. So in a future video, we will make sure we use this to its full potential. All right, I hope you like this brief overview of how to use my plugins in a real world example. I'm gonna do more of these. Would you guys like to see this from start to finish? Where I do one of these full music videos? I think it would take a few hours, but I could do a video like that. Just let me know in the comments. If enough people respond and put it in the comments, I'll do one of these from start to finish, the full workflow, so you can see how I do it. Just put it in the comments. Later in this week, I'm going to do a few more videos that talk about sync, that talk about the different effects. I'm going to spend a lot of time on Audio Effector this week. I'm going to do a little stuff on Astrotrip because that's going to be released hopefully in the next month. Anyways, guys, gals, everybody, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, share, comment, subscribe. You know the deal, baby. Until next time, I'm out.